Yes, yes. I'm not working there, unfortunately. But yeah, they well, someone would be good. checked that earlier, last week, I think so. Whether that Savitri is. I had a question. Narad,
Not allowed.
Not allowed. How about you? We are very happy to see us enjoying this.
Good. Very happy.
it was so good that I
So Bhaskar and Ananda said they would come.
but we informed them, Narad. I messaged them and I called them.
Good.
Bhaskar replied also that he did namaste for the message. So he said that is he is coming.
How is his farm coming?
No idea, Narad. I didn't meet them more than 3 weeks
Oh,
because I'm lying down always, so they are not. It's not. They felt. I told them let me walk, then we'll meet. So
yeah, yeah. First, exactly. Yes, that's very important.
I don't know what they are thinking about. I didn't see anybody here in Aurobindo. I didn't meet anybody in Aurobindo. Nobody knows Narad. That's what I don't want to let it out.
It's amazing. Almost no one knows the mother, also. I have watched these 50 people at a time coming to go to the chamber, and people would say, "Who knows about the mother?" And no one would raise their hand.
So
Things have to change. They have to change. Ananda.
Baba ji asking you both of you.
Long time.
Yeah, happy to see
How are you,
you.
Naraji? Our children, made a little delay in coming,
Ah,
so
it's
that's why.
okay. Nobody else is here, just our family.
I'm sorry you're not on the delay.
Okay.
We have time. We can start.
Hmm?
We can start.
Okay.
He asked for Narad's phone to you. So இல்ல அங்க உட்கார்ந்துட்டு அப்புறம் வேணும்னா இதை மாத்தியாச்சு இது பண்ண முடியாது அதுக்கு
Oh, it just keeps coming. Oh. Who is Chandra?
Chandra, which Chandra from Ashram?
She's asking why these people are not paying the 2,000 rupees for the orchid, for the water lilies. I said, ask me and I'll pay it. And then, constant. We let it go. Okay. Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Savitri Satsang. We are still in the book of beginnings because there is no need to rush ahead with Savitri. If we can take each line into our souls and realize that this is mantra, this is the word of the Lord, then we can go slowly and let it find its way gently into our soul, not trying to understand it immediately, although many passages we can do that. So a little summary for this canto we call The Issue. This is our first introduction to Savitri. And she knows that she has to do something. She's aware of these changing names that she's had, these numerous acts that she's gone through. She has to meet these dark forces of the universe. What we know, we don't know in the book yet because it hasn't come about yet. But in Canto 1, Sri Aurobindo gives us a clue. The very last line is, "This was the day when Satyavan must die." Now, this doesn't happen for many, many books and cantos to come. It's just, in modern parlance, we would say it's a teaser. Sri Aurobindo is telling us something that's about to come. We don't know how he's going to die, why he has to die. But then Sri Aurobindo goes into this next canto, The Issue, which is Savitri's search for what she has to do in the world. Now, on page 14, we had come to the line, "Love came to her, hiding the shadow, death." Now, people don't understand sometimes, but all the rest of these lines are about love, not about Savitri. Well might he find in her his perfect shrine. So love is looking for a perfect shrine where there is no attachment, there is no desire, and he finds that in Savitri. And then there's a full stop after the word shrine. Since first the earth being's heavenward growth began, through all the long ordeal of the race, never a rarer creature bore his shaft. That burning test of the Godhead in our parts, a lightning from the heights on our abyss. Now, notice Sri Aurobindo uses the word shaft. Well, it's like Cupid's arrow that hits and awakens the love in us. Never a rarer creature bore his shaft. That burning test of the Godhead in our parts, a lightning from the heights on our abyss. Now he's going to talk again about Savitri. All in her pointed to a nobler kind. Very concise sentence. All in Savitri is pointing to a nobler kind. Well, we don't know yet what that nobler kind is, but obviously it's going to be an emanation of the Divine Mother. Near to Earth's wideness, so she's very near to Earth's wideness. She had to come down and take birth. Intimate with heaven. At the same time, she's intimate with heaven. Exalted and swift, her young, large visioned spirit, voyaging through worlds of splendor and of calm, overflew the ways of thought to unborn things. Because thought is so limited. Thought is always seeing the world in dualities, good and bad, high and low, love and hate, all these dualities, not for Savitri. Ardent was her self-poised, unstumbling will. When we're ardent about something, we are very committed to it. And yet it's self-poised and it's unstumbling. It doesn't stumble, it doesn't fall. Her mind, a sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow, had not one turbid wave. Well, turbid wave is like this. But no, she's absolutely calm in her mind. Her mind, he gives us this image, and Sri Aurobindo is giving us images all through Savitri, every page. So her mind is a sea of white sincerity. It's passionate in flow, but it doesn't have even one turbid wave. Now we have what Jyoti Narayan, listening to me reading this, said. He felt it was the most beautiful, perfect expression of Savitri in the entire book. So we have to listen to it, and I'm not going to comment until I've read the whole thing, and then I'll comment. As in a mystic and dynamic dance, a priestess of immaculate ecstasies, inspired and ruled from truth's revealing vault, moves in some prophet cavern of the gods, a heart of silence in the hands of joy, inhabited with rich creative beats, a body like a parable of dawn that seemed a niche for veiled divinity or golden temple door to things beyond. Immortal rhythms swayed in her time-born steps. Her look, her smile, awoke celestial sense, even in earth stuff, and their intense delight poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. A wide self-giving was her native act, a magnanimity as of sea or sky, enveloped with its greatness all that came, and gave a sense as of a greatened world. Her kindly care was a sweet, temperate sun, her high passion a blue heaven's equipoise. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tired wings from a world of storms, and a quiet reach like a remembered breast, in a haven of safety and splendid soft repose, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness, feel her bright nature's glorious ambience, and preen joy in her warmth and colors rule. A deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary, her inward help unbarred a gate in heaven. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. Now we're back to love again. The great unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell. Vacant of the dwarf self's imprisoned air, her mood could harbor his sublimer breath, spiritual, that can make all things divine. For even her gulfs were secrecies of light. At once she was the stillness and the word, a continent of self-diffusing peace, an ocean of untrembling virgin fire. The strength, the silence of the gods were hers. In her, this is death, in her, in her, he found a vastness like his own. His high, warm, subtle ether he refound and moved in her as in his natural home. In her, he met his own eternity. So we see now, we go through all of this slowly, but at the very end, we find that in Savitri, love has found his own eternity. Savitri has a mind that is passionate in flow without any disturbance. In fact, it's a sea of white sincerity. And then, as in a mystic and dynamic dance, and many of you will know about the mystic and dynamic dance of the gods and the goddesses in Indian mythology. She is a priestess of immaculate ecstasies. Imagine that, immaculate ecstasies. But she's also inspired and ruled from this revealing vault of truth. She moves in some prophet cavern of the gods. Interesting that Sri Aurobindo uses cavern, because we see so many of the great yogis have lived in caves. And
that previous line, a priestess immaculate ecstasies, is it just like the Greek, in the Greek, the oracles used to be there and they dance in ecstasy?
yes,
Is that it?
and this is one thing that we see in Sri Aurobindo, constantly using Greek or Latin to emphasize something of Savitri. And this priestess of immaculate ecstasies, who is inspired and ruled from this vault, this revealing vault of truth, moves in some prophet cavern of the gods. And what is she now? He's going to speak about her entire being. A heart of silence in the hands of joy. Inhabited with rich creative beats, a body like a parable of dawn. What is a parable here? A parable to us is something very interesting. It's a way of explaining something to people so that they will understand it. And now we see, interestingly, that her body is like a parable of dawn. And when you went before Mother, you felt that. You never felt her age. You never felt that she wasn't totally concentrated on you at the moment, that she was pouring into you whatever you needed. All of these things you felt. So that body of hers seemed like a niche for veiled divinity. A niche is a little crack, a little opening. And that opening is for veiled, not, you can't see it yet, it's still hidden, veiled divinity. Or he gives us another image, a golden temple door to things beyond. Oh. Now, again about her body. Immortal rhythms swayed in her time-born steps. And now her eyes, her look, her smile awoke celestial sense. Oh, heavenly sense. Even in earth stuff, even in us, we are earth stuff. Even in earth stuff, and their intense delight poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. Supernal here means heavenly, a heavenly beauty on men's lives. But he doesn't stop there. Now he says a wide self-giving was her native act. A magnanimity, vastness, greatness, as of sea or sky. And what did it do? Well, you see, it enveloped with its greatness all that came. Everyone who saw Savitri felt that. And that greatness gave a sense as of a greatened world. Oh. Many, many ashramites have spoken of that supernal beauty that touched men's lives. I've heard it so often. Her kindly care, now this is Mother's care, was a sweet, temperate sun, not the blazing sun that we all know in the summertime, but a sweet, temperate sun. Even her high passion was a blue heaven's equipoise, just that equipoise of that blue heaven. Then he has a full stop after equipoise, but he wants us to see what we could do. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird. And many times our souls do fly like that. We're reaching for something and we can't quite get it, especially in dreams. Escaping with tired wings from a world of storms. That's the world we live in. And a quiet reach like a remembered breast. I think there's nothing more beautiful than the child resting on the mother's breast. Therefore, in a haven of safety and splendid, soft repose, rest, one could drink life back. But how would one drink life back? In streams of honey fire. Whoa. Recover the lost habit of happiness. Feel her bright nature's glorious ambience. And preen joy in her warmth and colors rule. Interesting word Sri Aurobindo uses here, to preen joy. We see the bird constantly preening its feathers. So we see that one could preem joy in what? In her warmth and the rule of, those colors of Savitri. Her inward help, unbarred, wow, took away the bars of this gate in heaven. And now we get into love meeting Savitri. Love in her was wider than the universe. And I tell you an interesting story. Eleanor Montgomery, very, very wealthy Fifth Avenue lady, was really devoted to Mother. And she would meet with Mother regularly, and I would watch as she sat next to Mother in the playground. Very proud. But one could be proud to sit next to Mother, I guess. So she meets with Mother and she says to Mother, I have to go back to America. And Mother says, but many things are going to come down in the playground. And Eleanor says, but Mother, I have to go back. Mother gets quiet for a moment and she says, the whole world is my ashram. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. The great, unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell. Only love could dwell in Savitri. Vacant, in other words, empty of the dwarf self's imprisoned air. And all of us, of course, are still dwarf selves. And we are still having that imprisoned air where we can't break out fully into the light. Her mood could harbor his sublimer breath. To harbor is interesting. We know what a harbor is. It's a place where ships can come and not be in danger. So her mood could harbor his sublimer breath. And what is his sublimer breath? Spiritual. That can make all things divine. And then he goes back to tell us about Savitri and why love can be in her. For even her gulfs were secrecies of light. At once, she was the stillness and the word. And that's a very interesting statement because when Mother was in Tlemcen, she would go out of her body and Theon would be holding that silver thread that connected her to earth. And then she finds the power of the word. And he cuts her thread because she wouldn't give it to him. But Mother was strong enough to unite it again and come back to earth. Most people would be dead. A continent of self-diffusing peace, an ocean of untrembling virgin fire. It's a virgin fire because no one else has had this fire, but it's even untrembling. And this was the experience I had with Mother when the fire came into me and rose above me. It was warm, but it was never hot. And it was so powerful that I think it went on for 20 or 25 minutes. And at the end, my body, I'm a young kid after all, just fell at her feet and I wept maybe 10 minutes. The strength, the silence of the gods were hers. In her, in Savitri, he found a vastness like his own, because love has a vastness also. Love is not confined to any area. It's all over the world. The love is there. And I remember mother writing to me because I wanted to come to the ashram much earlier, and Annie wanted to continue her musical theater. She was in the Sound of Music and other things. So mother writes back, to remain with Annie would be better. But whatever you choose, the love and blessings are always and everywhere with you both. His high, warm, subtle ether he refound and moved in her, in Savitri, as in his natural home. In her, he met his own eternity. I think we'll end there today because there's a break after that. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about these breaks that Sri Aurobindo makes. We should not rush into the next section. We take a few moments to allow that force that has come into us in this most beautiful description of Savitri in the entire Savitri. There are other moments when there are 10, 12 lines, but nothing to this extent. So, if you have any questions? No questions. Okay. Savitri was enough. That's wonderful. I'm so happy to read this with you, share this with you, because I have been reading Savitri for 62 years. And I met A.B. Purani in America when he gave his talks in California and in Arizona. And he gave me his first book on Savitri also. Savitri, a something and a study. I've read it many times. And now they have new editions of it. I have the old one that he gave me, but they have new editions. An approach and a study. Savitri, an approach and a study. The great thing to me about this book is that Purani gives us so many Vedic references. You can find so much of the Vedas in Savitri. And that's something that I'm doing with Vladimir now on Sundays, Savitri Sunday. So.
I have one question. The last line which you read, in her he met his own eternity.
Mm-hmm.
So is he who
He is love. So, in Savitri, love meets his own eternity. Because he couldn't find another place. See, we go back a little bit and we see that he finds this vastness in Savitri that is a vastness like his own vastness. And he even finds his high, warm, subtle ether in Savitri. And he moves in her as in his natural home. And then the great last line, in her he met his own eternity.
we interpreted as Satyavanu.
No, it's love. Namaste, love. Namaste.
We can read from the beginning. We can read from the beginning to end.
Beginning of what?
Today. Yeah, page 14. What we read today.
You want to read?
No, anyone can read.
Time myself.
That's why I said we can
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Because now I have to find it again.
Oh, page 14.
I've got it. So now we're going to look into love. Huh? I'll begin a few lines before that, because we have to see that there was her drama's radiant prologue lived. Prologue, of course, is the beginning of her story. Huh? A spot for the eternal's tread on earth, set in the cloistral yearning of the woods. And I think we covered cloistral last time. Definition of a cloister?
Special area
Hmm?
a special area like in a big garden like this.
It's close.
Well, it used to be a kind of place for nuns,
Monastery.
and they would have beautiful garden and this long, beautiful walkway where they would go back and forth in their meditation. And I've been there many times, and it's so beautiful. Upper New York City. Okay, so we see where she's living, where her drama's radiant prologue lived, which is a spot for the eternal's tread on earth. And it's set in this cloistral yearning of the woods, but it's watched by the aspiration of the peaks. Now, why is she watched by the aspiration of the peaks? Because already she's in Shalwa Woods with her husband, and there are these huge peaks there, aspiration of the peaks. And they appear through an aureate opening in time, golden opening in time, where stillness, listening, felt the unspoken word, and the hours forgot to pass towards grief and change. Here, with the suddenness divine advents have, and Advent, of course, is a very great descent, repeating the marvel. Oh no. Oh. I'll get back to it, yeah. Oh. Okay. Repeating the marvel of the first descent, changing to rapture the dull earthly round. Love came to her, hiding the shadow death. Well might he find in her his perfect shrine, since first the earth being's heavenward growth began. Through all the long ordeal of the race, never a rarer creature bore his shaft, that burning test of the Godhead in our parts, a lightning from the heights on our abyss. All in her pointed to a nobler kind, near to earth's wideness, intimate with heaven, exalted and swift, her young, large-visioned spirit, voyaging through worlds of splendor and of calm, overflew the ways of thought to unborn things. Ardent was her self-poised, unstumbling will. Her mind, a sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow, had not one turbid wave. As in a mystic and dynamic dance, a priestess of immaculate ecstasies, inspired and ruled from truth's revealing vault, moves in some prophet cavern of the gods, a heart of silence in the hands of joy, inhabited with rich creative beats, a body like a parable of dawn that seemed a niche for veiled divinity, or golden temple door to things beyond. Immortal rhythms swayed in her time-born steps, her look Her smile awoke celestial sense, even in earth stuff, and their intense delight poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. A wide self-giving was her native act, a magnanimity as of sea or sky, enveloped with its greatness all that came, and gave a sense as of a greatened world. Her kindly care was a sweet, temperate sun, her high passion a blue heaven's equipoise. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tired wings from a world of storms, and a quiet reach like a remembered breast, in a haven of safety and splendid soft repose, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness, feel her bright nature's glorious ambience, and preen joy in her warmth and colors rule. A deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary, her inward help unbarred a gate in heaven. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. The great, unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell. Vacant of the dwarf self's imprisoned air, her mood could harbor his sublimer breath, spiritual, that can make all things divine. For even her gulfs were secrecies of light. At once she was the stillness and the word, a continent of self-diffusing peace, an ocean of untrembling virgin fire. The strength, the silence of the gods were hers. In her he found a vastness like his own. His high, warm, subtle ether he refound, and moved in her as in his natural home. In her he met his own eternity. Namaste.